Hello, everyone. Welcome to Guilty by Association. My name is Maegan Woytek. I am the Director of Community Engagement for Vantaca, and I am so excited to be hosting Catie Marks today. Catie is the president of May Management Services. She stepped into a leadership role after the family business was sold, and now she is navigating what it means to honor a legacy while leading a company into its next chapter. Catie, welcome to the podcast. I think it would actually be really fun, Catie, if you did just tell us a little bit of your history. I want to know more about you. So, how did you get into this crazy industry that we both work in? And what made you continue working in it after you started?
Um, I- there's the story that I would tell on this podcast, then there's like the story for later. But I think honestly, we probably have a similar path. Does your podcast have a name, Megan?
Yeah, it's called Guilty by Association.
Love that.
Isn't that cute? I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't.
Such a good name, and that is exactly how I got here, as a matter of fact, it feels like. But I don't think like a lot of little girls dream of being community association managers besides the you and me's of the world. But I was fortunate enough to have a super entrepreneurial, strong mom who's kind of fell into this industry also back in the 80s, and built a really successful company. So I grew up thinking that she was just the pinnacle of success. And so I wanted to do what she wanted to do, and I wanted to like wear expensive suits and, tell people what to do. So that was kind of the ethos that I approached life with, like from my adolescence and like through school. I was going to go to law school, I was going to do all of these things, but one thing leads to another, and I just kind of everything, all roads led back to association management. So I had the opportunity after living in New York for a couple of years to come home and work with my mom, and that was like the best like doctorate program ever, and we just had so much fun. We had so much fun kind of growing the business, doing sales together. Obviously, watching her work is amazing. She's the type of manager that I will never be. She knows everything about every kind of system in a building. I don't want to be that kind of manager. Sorry, mom. But I love to watch her work, and I was fortunate to get to do that. And then I helped her kind of get through to her transaction, which got her to the next phase in her life and got me to this position. You'll hear me often call myself the sacrificial lamb, but I say that with a lot of affection for the sacrifice. So that's how I got here.
What what position did you start in when you first went to work for May? What did she make you do to learn the business?
So, I mean, I feel like I grew up at May. I spent, my summers there, my school breaks. I got my first desk the summer after I graduated high school. So I was 18, and I actually, the woman who I was covering for, she was on maternity leave. She still works for us. That was 17 years ago. Her son's about to graduate high school, which is crazy. But I came in to cover an admin role, and like I was horrible admin. Before that, I'd been like a towel girl. I did all kind of the seasonal jobs at like properties. So yeah, I mean, my mom gave me no sympathy. I got like all of the hard clients. I got like the desks that were crazy. Um, and I was never the highest paid either. Like I was always bottom of the barrel and like worst tasks, which I'm grateful for. So I would think I pretty much did everything but accounting.
That's crazy. So when she that mine is a little bit similar, like backing up. So I started as the receptionist. Now I will say I did not my mom did not own her company when I first entered the industry. She was like I don't know what her exact role was, but I think it was more like director of operations. She was something like that. And I was kind of a naughty kid in college, and um I had just moved back home, and I needed some like straightening out and some order to my life. And I think my mom was like, We have this role opening at my company, and it's the receptionist role. And I actually think you would be really good at something like that. And so that was my entry point, which is like kind of similar. It was a much smaller company than May, but I was like receptionist, and then I got promoted after a couple of years to like assistant community manager and then community manager, and it kind of just went from there. So what's powerful about that though is you really learn the inner workings of a management company. So literally everything, when you touch all of those roles, there's no better way to learn how a business runs. It's a really unique perspective that not a lot of people get because I don't know, maybe the points of entry aren't available when you're out looking for a job, or maybe you don't love being the receptionist, so you kind of quit quickly, something like that. But it was, I don't know, it was always really fun to me. I loved the people aspect of it, which is probably what made me stay. And the fact that like there's no better teacher than a badass mom who is a boss babe.
Sometimes.
It's
Sometimes they're also hard
sometimes
to
you're right.
like.
My sister still works for my mom, so I don't know that she's feeling that all the time.
You should check in with her, see how she's doing.
I should check in with her. Actually, we had a pretty, hardcore conversation a couple weeks ago as I was walking, in downtown, like, New York. So that was really interesting, but, um, tell me a little bit about your mom's decision to like turn the company over to you. What kind of conversations did you guys have before you were like, okay, I think that this is something that I can do and I can lead this company? Because that's a huge decision. May's not small. How many people work for you now?
Like 150, maybe a little bit less, maybe 130, but
Oh my
depending on
gosh,
the
that's
season.
so
So it's a lot of
crazy.
people. But I think, so kind of in between, I didn't just like grow up under a desk and stay there forever at May
Right.
Management. So in between there, I did leave for a little while and I had this like kind of fun jaunt in the music industry.
Yeah, I want to hear about that too.
Like, that's crazy, and, like, it's a whole different podcast, but what I learned from doing that was that the things that I was learning at May Management and from these, like, board meetings that were just what I thought, like, so pointless and meaningless were applicable to anything. So I really at that point, I understood that, like, what I was learning by managing these associations was a lot broader business knowledge than I realized at first. Being at May Management doesn't mean I just have to be a community association manager for the rest of my life. Like, I know how to run a business because I have run these, like, miniature corporations. So that was, like, super empowering. And then my mom, we had just some killer years together. I think that, I came home and, like, worked, and I think she was like, "Oh." Like you're growing up. And then, we had some just killer like sales years. We had like record new business years. And I think after that, she had some confidence. And then, you know, also in the midst of all of that, we had some not so happy things happening. And I'm sure your mom could tell you, like when you're the business owner, the president, like those things are personal and you're taking the brunt of a lot of them. So I think she just like, she did it for 33 years. I'm not going to make it that long. So I think it was like a good combination of she kind of got to gain some confidence in my ability. I got to gain some confidence of the team, and we found a partner that was a good fit. My mom had always talked about, what it was going to mean for her to retire, right? Like, is that, a partnership? Is it a sale? Is it,
Right.
but it all happened really fast, even though it's conversations that we've had for forever. But I don't know. We're
Yeah.
we were just ready. It was just good timing. It was like Mercury had just gotten out of retrograde, whatever, and, it just was it worked out. So good partnership and, like, good performance. I think I worked really hard not to be a nepo baby.
Yeah. How like, in thinking about, I don't know, making the decision to pull a partner in and then also let you continue the family legacy, what were those conversations like?
It was definitely a decision that we made together. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
decision that I was a part of every step of the way, and I think that I could have I could have ended the conversation at any point and she would have been okay with it.
That's awesome.
I think I would even tell this to Diana, who's the CEO of, our kind of equity backing. I would tell her this, but I think like a partially like she just had good timing. My mom had been approached for years. I'd always heard about, oh, when I sell my management, da 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 da. But we were really on the kind of forefront of this new wave. So I think now a lot too about like what I know now. I probably, gosh, how do I say this? And it's not like to be, but just from like a entrepreneurial mindset, what I know now, my mom probably could have got a way better deal in today's market, right, than she did 5 years ago.
It's a wild industry to be a part of, and I think when people like you and me are involved in it and you've been in the industry for so long and you see all of this like consolidation happening and private equity entering, like for me, it's like an out of body experience. I feel sometimes like I'm working in a completely different industry because the conversations have shifted so much in really even the last like 2 years, 18 months, like it has rapidly changed. So it's a huge learning experience for me
You are the
also.
face of one of the most rapidly changing parts that has just like advanced Vantica. I mean, technology in this space, period, right, has advanced so much in the last 5 years. The private equity interest is so much. It's like we're having this like industrial revolution inside of association management.
Sometimes I don't feel smart enough to like be a part of this industry anymore. I'm like, "No, no, I miss mom and pop and like, I don't know, old school stuff. Can we go back there because that's like my safe space." So,
Well, it's funny though that you say that because I also think that like this industry has uniquely been women led in my experience.
yes. Yes, it has.
Right? But now there's all of these men coming in, and suddenly people like you and me are feeling like the patriarchy, like, "What's happening?" And I think, like, you
It's
are
so
smart
true.
enough.
Yeah, it is, I don't know, it's just a very like I said, out of body experience. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore. It's like I have an identity crisis in my own career because so much has changed so quickly. It's like, wow, there obviously is something here in this industry that is valuable. And for all of us who've been working in it for so long, for it to actually be seen as something valuable to an outside group of people is really, really cool. It's funny that you talked about, uh, like, the conversations that your mom had with you before you brought in a partner, and, like, uh, m my mom is kinda funny. She actually passes a lot of that stuff by me, even though eh, I mean, obviously, I don't work for her. My sister does. We've got a lot of like family stuff to figure out as far as like the succession planning of her company. I mean, she's definitely in that time period where she should probably start thinking about her next step. I don't know what the right age for that is. I don't know what the right company size. I don't even know if there's anything that is like a tell for it might be time for you to either get a partner or figure out your legacy plan or do any of that type of stuff. But she's definitely been really good at having some of those conversations with me and my sister. But I don't know if if all three of us, I don't know if we know what the next step is. And I don't know um, I don't know what would be the decision point.
It is complex, but it gets less complex to a degree, right? Because, like, your mom's gonna have a pretty easy numbers-driven decision to make.
That is very true. Very true.
The time she's had enough, she's gonna say, "What am I worth?" And I know a girl who can probably get her in touch with some people, to make sure that that's a good offer. And like, then it becomes kind of a no-brainer. That's how it was with my mom. She was ready to be done and she is the mom and pops. Like she worked her like, worked to the bone for 30 years. And if she didn't take on a partner, her 401k was not going to support her lifestyle. So,
Right.
I think I think that that's what it is. Like, you get to a point where you've got a number in your head and somebody's gonna get it for you, and you're like, "I can set myself and my family free." You'll find out which sister your mom likes the least by who has to lead the business.
Ooh, I know. Yeah, we can fight about that later.
Well, like, do you guys talk about work at home? Like, when the 3 of you get together, do you talk about the industry?
I mean, it's the only thing that we talk about because it's all that we know now. So, it's the only industry my sister's ever worked in. It's the only industry I've ever worked in. That's not true. I worked at an engineering firm for, like, 9 months. But, I mean, it for me and my sister, it's all that we know as far as, like, the corporate world, how as far as work is concerned, it's literally all that we know. So, yeah, we totally talk about it because what else is there to talk about? Don't you wanna talk about community management all the time?
Me and my mom, I still fight about it. Like, we will still, like, have knockdown dragouts in the kitchen about it. Like, it's like, "Please, let's talk about something else." Like, at least you guys are complimentary, like, you're not working with them every single day.
It's so true. Now, what I will say is our conversations have shifted over time. So, where it used to be like these specific associations were causing problems and like, how do we deal with this singular issue for this one property? Now it's like, we talk about hiring and who should lead in the company and what the next steps for certain individuals should be. Like they're much deeper conversations for boosting the company like for the future, which is really cool. I love being a part of those conversations.
Like, your mom
Um
is nicer than my mom. I feel like I just get, like, mansplained to. I'm like, "This is the issue," and then she's like, "Well, first what you're gonna do." I'm like, "I know. I've done all of these things." Like,
how
but
did
the other
Annie get into the industry? Did like
um,
was she a board member?
no, she worked for, like, a community here, like a developer. She was like an on-site, like not timeshare, but like on-site sales and did management. It's
Oh
actually
yeah.
also
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
my dad too. And like the management company they had sucked, and she got some like I don't know referral check for like $10,000, and like called her partner and was like, "We're gonna do this on our own. I'm rich," and they started my management. So um, pretty pretty ballsy. She tells, like, the funniest story. Her partner, she's still alive, she's, like, 86 now, um, the A in May, Patty, she's like my mom
Love
told me,
it.
she's like, "We made her the president because she was old, she was 40." I'm like, "Oh, god."
Oh, snap.
Um, but it is interesting. But I think, like, the point you were making before too about you don't know any other industry, Ben, my husband, who you know, we talk about this a
Yeah.
lot because, like, believe it or not, some days I come home and I'm like, "Is this what I wanna be doing? Like, should I have stayed in music?" Like, whatever. And we just think, like, what an amazing little niche that we have all found ourselves in so young. Like, we have these deep, deep networks. Like, how do you rebuild that?
You can't.
Like, if we would as much as, like, it's like a love-hate, like, ugly stepsister situation with this industry, like, I don't think I would have it any other way, and I'm, like, so proud to be so, like, deeply ingrained, like, that is such an asset that I think we forget about sometimes.
I talk about this with so many people, because I travel a lot, right? So I get lots of airplane friends. I am gonna write a book one day that's called, like, Airplane People because I love meeting people on airplanes. They always have cool stories because you never know who you're gonna get. It's my favorite thing, so watch out for my book later in life about airplane people. Um, but I mean, regardless of the time of day or time of year or whatever, you sit down next to a stranger on an airplane and they're usually, I don't know, I pop up my computer, I'm working a little bit. Someone wants to know, like, what are you doing? Like, we're all kind of nosy and curious about our neighbor. And so I always tell them, I sell software for community association management, like HOAs. And they're like, oh, I but they're always, "I hate my HOA." I'm like, "Do you?" And then there's, like, an education piece that comes with it after that, and I always explain, like, how much I actually love it, and usually by the end of the conversation, I've changed their mind on the industry, and they don't hate it as much as they did 5 minutes ago, which is great. Um, but I always tell them, I'm like, "No, you don't understand, like, it is my mom, it's my sister, it's my brother-in-law, my husband, like all of these people who I know and love and are such a huge part of my life work in this industry now. And it has fed us for years and years and years. And we've gone through economic downturns and COVID and all of that. And we were gainfully employed. Like there was not an issue. It's really a great industry to work in.
And it's like we've been talking about this a lot. It's like it's so familial. Like, don't you feel so warm? Like, I don't know if there's another like industry that, as a 28-year-old CEO I could have walked into and been taken seriously, and like been and not been afraid to like embarrass myself. It's been a super like a friendly little incubator to
It
be
is.
here. You know?
It's my it's my favorite thing about this industry. There have definitely been points in time where I'm like, "Ooh, do I stay in this industry or do I try something else and just like spread my wings and see if I'm actually good at what I do in another industry?" And I'm like, "Ooh, but then I'll have to like meet all these new people and I'll have to start from scratch." I have my people. Like I can go to Florida and I can talk to all my people there and then I can turn around and I can go to Colorado and I've got all my people there. It has spread like wildfire in the best way. The kind of people that I get to meet, the kind of people that I get to work for, it really is like there's nothing better.
That always is what I go back to. Like, how do you duplicate like a lifetime effort?
I know. I don't yeah, it's super interesting. But now we're turning into a recruitment podcast. Come work in HOA. It's the best.
Because I think like you and I have a lot of similarities, not just like our moms being like but also just being young, like professional women in this industry.
Yes.
Like, this is the first time that there's like other young people for me to talk to. Like, it's the best. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, you're not older than my mom. Like,
There
and that,
there has seriously been a great shift in like younger people are starting to enter, which
yeah.
is the best. Um, I mean, you obviously are hiring people. Have you noticed a shift in like younger people even being interested?
Yes. But also like so I went to Florida State, go Knowles. But they have in their real estate school, they have some actual like CAM classes. And honestly, not, to make light of a bad situation, but also this tragedy is happening like Surfside and Champlain Towers. Like it shines this light on our industry that just makes it all more professional. And I think that it's like getting sexier. So people want to do sexy stuff, and it's getting more lucrative. The base pay is going up. Like, Megan, we do such cool stuff. Like, what don't we do? Like, you get to be on Capitol Hill one day. Like,
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things is the like no day is the same, even on the business partner side. Like I am doing different stuff with different people all the time. I am helping lobby in Florida. I'm talking to, I don't know, we're on a podcast today. Like tomorrow I'm doing something different. Like it's it's becoming sexier and I'm wondering, do you think that that has something to do with the private equity coming in?
yeah, heck yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
is yes. And like everything that's pushing our wages higher. Because you know what that does? Not to go back to like my patriarchy soapbox, but that makes men want to join the industry. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that whole kind of continues. Um, but yeah, it is like I always like, especially when I have like new hires, I always get on this soapbox. But I think that this is like such a good industry. Like, it used to just be like the single mom industry, and those were like the best
Oh my
employees that
gosh.
you could hire.
Yes.
But now it's like we are responsible for so much, especially like in Florida. Like, we are regulated more than like doctors and CPAs. It's
So
crazy.
crazy.
Granted, like we don't have to go through that much school to get there, and we should be. But I think all of those things are just lending to, we can like fight a little bit less to get taken seriously.
I always like to think a little bit about like the career path that people can take too. Like your entry points can be completely different. And then you can also go, you don't have to necessarily stay at a management company. You can go and work for, I don't know, I don't Vantaca or a bank or a construction company or I mean, you name it. There are just so many different directions that it can go. And that's why I think people just don't even understand. still to this day, how valuable this industry actually is. It expands like crazy when you really start to think of all the different types of people and businesses that even touch an association. I want to understand like how you lead after a partner has come in. Like, is that complicated having now it's hard. I know you have a really great partner who doesn't necessarily like tell you how you need to lead this company, but some people, may have that situation where it's a little more complex. But you as Katie, how do you lead after a business is sold?
So, I had kind of two things going on at the same time. One is I had to like gain the respect of these people who a lot of them have known me since before I could like drive. And there was that, and I was like, I had worked for a while, with everybody. My mom had like been pretty upfront with everybody with what was happening as far as like our leadership transition. Um, and then, I think I made some missteps in the beginning. I tried really hard, like, and I still say, like, we took on an investment interest, right? Because, like, or an investment partner because we did, like, there's still,
Right.
some equity split. But I tried really, really hard. And I think to my detriment, like, too hard to make it like to sweep Summit, who is our partner, like, under the rug. I think that I, in
Yeah.
hindsight, would have been a little bit more like, open about it and made it a little bit of a happy thing instead of making it this, like, taboo thing. But, you're also, like, fighting so hard to maintain your own brand identity. And like you said, I'm pretty fortunate, my partner and we were at the beginning of both of our kind of careers. So I was like the first large acquisition around first or second for them and also like learning in my seat. So I was fortunate not to have a partner that was like pushing a bunch of stuff, at me that I had to do and had to do. So, I was able to do what I knew to some degree. And they weren't like, in front of my people kind of belittling me or, taking away undermining me in any way. So I think that was really important. And then we just like maintained a partnership. Summit comes up a lot now in conversation. It's no longer, like a dirty word at the office. The leadership is helpful. Like I'm never calling somebody above me because like because I need anything other than help. Do you know what I mean? It's always like a positive interaction. So I think those things are good. And just kind of making sure that my staff knows that like there's not like a henchman, at the other side of the desk on the Summit side is important. Um, but I really have just like you have got to like remember who you are. You get this partner, but that doesn't change the whole ethos of your business. You know, Summit decided to buy May Management because May Management had an amazing brand recognition and just brand story that somebody worked really hard to build. So being true to kind of those parts of your organization, I think are what are going to like lead you through it because the transition's hard.
How do you carry on a family legacy in this scenario? How do you do that? Because it's just ingrained in you. You're like, "No, it's literally I came out of the womb and it was."
I mean, yes, I say those things a lot. Like I'm born under a desk. But I also think this is like such a family business industry. Like you said it before, it's your sister, it's your mom, it's your husband. I mean, it's my mom, it's my husband, it's my cousin. It's like, you know, it's everybody. So I think that that kind of makes it easier to remember kind of what the ethos is and to like have to be accountable to it in a way, right? Like I also have all employees, I have employees now that have worked for May Management for 32 years. Like I owe it to them to make sure that everything that they believe for the last 33, 36, 37 years like stays true. So I don't know. I think if I was talking to like myself 4 years ago, what I would say is like stick up for yourself and for your brand and don't like be a pushover. And like I don't think that I'm a pushover and I don't think a lot of people would use that word to describe me.
Never.
I definitely think I made some concessions. Like sometimes like I thought, oh, well, they're obviously like to kind of go back to our other conversation from beginning of like, oh, they're smarter than me. Like they must know the right way. That is true sometimes, but like you know me. I knew so much more than I realized. And there's some things that I wish I would have fought harder on not to change. But I don't know. It is it's an evolutionary process, like we're still working through kind of what does it look like for the next 5 years,
Yeah, like, what is Katie's May management versus what was Annie's May management? Like, I think that's actually a really like, there's crossover in certain things that you care about, but there are probably things that you care about more than your mom did and vice versa.
That is almost like that is a bigger rub than the equity partnership, right? Like I
So true.
the emotional rub is between me and my mom is like I want to evolve. I don't want to be this like super cam who like does everything and knows about every single project and like ugh, like that is not what I want to do. Like I want to run a business. Like and what was one of the
Yeah.
things I said from the beginning is like I refuse to do it the way you did it. It wasn't you were very successful and you're fantastic, but you don't have to do it that way.
Ooh, now that right there, that to me is like succession planning. It's like finding that person who is very comfortable with taking what you've built and like running with some of it and then like continuing on with their own thing. That is true legacy right there. Okay, so the podcast is called Guilty by Association, and I do have one question that I wanna ask everybody, which is, what is something that you're guilty of that could help someone else in their life or career?
It's kind of what I said before, like work smarter, not harder. Like I am always going to find the most efficient way to do something to make myself look smarter. So like AI has been amazing for me. Google used to be great for me. Like I was, that did crazy things, but like AI has been amazing. I think that I've been able to really scale like the volume and quality of output, but learning how to harness those tools, I think is my biggest life hack. Like being a young person who wants to embrace technology, I think that that is like what I'm guilty of and benefits me and would benefit somebody else.
Oh, I love that. You turned it into a positive question. I was, like, thinking, "Tell me the worst thing that you do." And,
Like
like,
I drink a lot.
I
I
know,
like
bottles and bottles of wine.
I would say if you ask my husband this, I'm like super unorganized. And when we first got married, I was like, we got in a fight and I told him, I was like, look, if I wanted somebody to tell me to put my clothes away, I would just go back and live with my mom. Like I will do it when I want to do it. And now after like being married to him for 7 years, I'm like, man, I really like it when everything is organized. It's so nice. Like, I'm like, I get it. Okay, fine. Everything it's a calmer space,
Well, it's like a clear, I don't know, living situation. It clears your brain. I think of, like, if my car is a disaster, which it always is because I have 2 children, but, like, when my car is clean and, like, everything is scrubbed, for some reason, my life is just better. So,
Well, same. Like I feel that way, but I'm not good at the maintenance. I'm
getting
not
it done. Exactly. So you're guilty of, like, "Maybe I don't wanna wash my car today. Maybe I don't
I'm not
wanna do that
dirty.
laundry."
Yeah, messy, I
Yeah.
think that's yeah. But I love when things are clean. So I guess like I'm guilty of that. So get a husband that loves you as much as mine and cleans your car and organizes your closet.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna make a little snippet just so Ben can hear that.
Right. I feel like I have to say it louder so you can hear
That's
me.
right. You heard me, you heard me. I love it.
Yes.
Well, seriously, thank you so much for just hanging out today. This is all that I wanted to do was hang out with Katie.
It was a pleasure. I will be guilty by association anytime for you, Megan. So it was lovely. And I truly like I would talk about this for days.
Thanks for listening to Guilty by Association. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, like it and share it with someone who might love it too. Until next time, stay a little guilty by association.